Alright, what's going on, guys? So, I have my 94 Toyota Corolla. And last night I was trying to find different shift knobs. Just something different instead of the factory big bulky shift knob with the overdrive button. Well, I couldn't really I found aftermarket shifters to use, and I have never removed the shifter on mine. I plan on it, but I haven't yet. And I didn't know how to go about actually removing the shifter itself. So I figured what I should do is Google it, like everybody else does. And I searched for probably an hour looking through different videos, and picture by picture walkthroughs, and even a bunch of forums. But there wasn't a video to explain what you needed to do. So that's what we're going to do today. This is, once again, my 1994 Toyota Corolla DX 1.8 liter double overhead cam 7 AFE with the 4-speed automatic. And I'm about to make a video next, hopefully, if I can get the cluster I want. I'm looking for the cluster that has the tachometer, so stay tuned for that video on how to replace that. Now, what we've got going on here is a bunch of pieces from the old shifter, a bunch of springs, this big spring here, stalker, staring at me while you doing shit. Yeah. But anyway, here's your big factory shifter. It would have had the piece of plastic here for the overdrive button, which would have been this piece with the button on the inside. And then you would have had the big push button that went in here, which is right. It's somewhere in here. There it is. Probably, yeah. Would have gone in here kind of like that. But anyway, there's a spring on the end of this, which is the big one covered in lithium grease right here. That goes on the end of that like that, and it's pushed down into the side into this. And that's what, when you press the button, it actually goes through the gears. You've got the piece of plastic here which hooks to the bottom. So removal seemed very simple when I first looked at it. If the shifter is on the car, like, where it's supposed to be, if you pull it all the way down into low gear, which is 1 or 2, you can get to these two. Yeah, it's not even going to focus, is it, you little bastard? It's got 2 screws here, which are Phillips heads, and they are super short. I am talking like, yeah, they are insanely small screws. Very easy to lose. There's 2 of them. Remove those. And I was thinking, okay, now that I've got it removed, I can just pull it right up. Well, it would only go up about an inch or so, and then it would snag. Well, the first time I went to pull it up, the whole button right here just went flying out. Like, it just gone. So I had to pick up all the pieces in the car. So that might happen. I don't know if it was just the way I did it or what, but when you pull up on it, the whole shifter piece might come flying out. Nothing is actually attached in there, so you can pull it out without having to remove the button. Should slide off. But once again, if you have a 1.6 liter, and it's an automatic, 9 times out of 10 you have the 3-speed. I'm not a hater here, but I'm not a fan of the 3 speeds. I've seen a bunch of them go out. They have a second, for the fluid fills on them, if you add fluid to the 3 speeds, there's actually a second chamber for the highway, the third gear reservoir has its own, or the third gear has its own reservoir for fluid. And a lot of times if you add fluid or change it, that one does not get fluid added to it because it's actually got a safe fill screw on the top of the transmission you have to remove to put fluid in that part of the transmission. So most people don't even know about it and just keep driving and add fluid to the regular dipstick for the transmission, and it doesn't actually give the other part of the transmission fluid, and you burn them up. But the 4-speed is all together one, and it's a pretty good transmission. Great transmission going down the highway. I'm happy with it. Now, if I had a 3-speed, I would be a big fan of those and not the 4, but you know, you like what you have, so just personal preference, guys. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just saying, you know, I've got the 4-speed. I like the 4-speed. Plenty of people have the 3-speed and like it too. Moving on, take the 2 bolts out. You don't have to do anything about the button, but it might come flying out when you pull it up. Now, where I was getting to about the transmissions is the 4-speed has the optional overdrive off button in here. 9 times out of 10, you're never even going to press this little button. It really just, all it does is take the car out of the overdrive gear. You can simply do that by giving the car a little bit more throttle when going up hills and stuff like that. So, but the button is nice to have if you have like a trailer hitch and pulling a small trailer, or if you've got a lot of stuff in the car, a lot of people in the car, and you're going to be going up and down hills a lot. It is great to have because you can reach over there and click it, and then it'll come out of overdrive and stay that way. This is going to sound bad, but when the wires are made into the button. There's no way to just unhook it from the switch and then pull through, because the cable runs down the inside of the shifter and then goes down into the boot. Well, I ended up, the wires, I have this little piece of plastic right here. It's a cover in case this car would have came with a sunroof, which mine does not have a sunroof, but this is where the power sunroof switch would have been. You would have had the 2 little buttons here. So I'm actually going to run, I cut my wires, and I'm going to run them up underneath here and run me a little toggle switch, so that if I want to turn it off, I can. But, you know, I have them taped off right now. I'm not even going to worry about it right now because overdrive is engaged, so if I need it, it's there, blah, blah. But I will go back and add a toggle switch. Stay tuned for the video of that. But to remove the shifter, you pull that out. 2 screws. Pull them up. You can either snip the wires, or you can remove this whole bezel piece all the way around here, pull it off, and then the plug-in is down there, and then you can unplug it and pull it off. That's too much work because you have to remove the radio. My radio is a double DIN. I removed my cup holders to add it and put my gauges up here. Completely worthless to me, and it's not worth the time, so forget about it. I just snipped my wires off, pulled the shifter out, taped my wires up, good to go. You'll have this piece of plastic, which is the shifter indicator. It just rests down on top of it, and then this other piece sits on the bottom of the shaft for the shifter. And if you're just going to be removing the shifter to clean it or to take the console out, then this piece just slides off and you just put it right back on. Here is what I did, and this is why I'm not showing you how to do it on the shifter itself, because I've already finished the installation of my shifter and I don't feel like removing it again. This is what I've come up with for a shifter so far. Keep in mind, this is not how it's going to stay. This is simply where I'm at now. I've got a, I ordered me a new shift knob. It says Run JDM. It's made like a cue ball for pool or billiards. It's going to be my new shifter. I wanted it to look like a stick shift, so I made me a homemade boot out of a Crown Royal bag, because apparently that's the you know race car thing to do. Full-blown racer right there. It's probably a good 30 horsepower Crown Royal, and I even put it in there upside down, so you know that's mega boost. It helps with your supercharger to make it spool off totally. But here's what I've got, and I actually still have the push feature engaged, because there's a little blue or green plastic clip that threads onto the top of the shaft that all the plastic shifter piece covers, and on the inside there's a little rod that pushes down to actually engage it. Well, the piece that comes up through here is green, and it just threads onto the top of the center of the rod that pushes up and down. All you have to do is unscrew it, and then you can take that little piece of plastic with the threads on the inside and file it out to fit inside any shift knob you want. Just shove it in there, maybe glue it or something. It should thread in there, and then you can just thread any shift knob you want on. And then because see, the safety lock is still there. Now you're in neutral. It won't go into park. You can pull it into drive and drive only. It won't go into the low gears until you push it down, just like you would if you still had the button on the side. But now it's pushed down. There's reverse. My keys aren't in it, which is why it's not going into park. But I'll show you, it still does go into park. Everything works exactly like it should. And let me turn my radio off because it'll come on if I don't. There we go. You've got 1, your low gears all the way down. 2, 3, well, drive, and then neutral right here. Push down, forward once reverse, down, forward again for park. And I have a bad habit, well, not a bad habit, but I always set my handbrake before I take it out of gear. So let's say I'm in drive, I pull in my driveway, I put the car, I come to a stop, I put the car in neutral, that's neutral, pull my handbrake, and then I put it in park, so it won't roll and it doesn't put any strain on your motor mounts. Well, now that I've got it totally looking like a, true JDM race car status over here, I've gotten to the habit where I pull in my driveway, bump it into neutral, pull my handbrake, and leave it there. And it gives it the look of a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed manual, whatever you want to have it, But it gives you the appearance of it being a stick shift transmission, which I think is pretty cool. But you're still an automatic at the end of the day, so quit fanboying over yourself. But there you have it: park, reverse, neutral, drive, 2, 1. Shift to park feature still works. Everything's good there. Like I said, you just have to push it down to take it out of gear, but it's pretty simple. You just take those 2 screws out. Watch out, because that might come flying off. Cut the wires for the overdrive, or if you want to do it the right way, remove this plastic trim, and this piece of plastic trim actually just snaps, which mine's actually cracked now. I've got to go to the junkyard and get another one. It was already cracked, but it made it worse. And then you just you can get your finger in there and pop the clips out, unplug the harness, and then the whole shifter will pull off that way. Like I said, if you're going to add an aftermarket shifter like I did, which once again, this is just a little air filter, a PVC air filter that came with a shitty cold air intake I bought one time, and it fit on there, and it looks pretty badass. It's blue, which matches my interior, and it's a mini air cleaner, so true race car status right there. That's badass. It's like 25 horsepower totally, but I just put that in there, and it's working just fine. So, and I got the Crown Royal boot bag, put it in neutral, set the parking brake, man. Looks like a true stick shift car. I don't know why the sun's doing that, but you can see it. So, pretty simple. 2 Phillips head bolts, pull up on it, snip the wires or unhook them. The whole shifter will pull off. The button might pop out. Like I said, if it does, you just snap it back in there, but wait till you're going to put it back on the rod before you try to push it back in. And then here is your little shifter indicator. It just sets down. That'll go on before this does. So put this piece back on like that, slide this piece back over all of that, and then this on top of it. Put your button back in and lock it all back in place. There's the piece for the overdrive button. If I can figure out how to make my phone stand up for a second, I will show you. This will probably be the non-shakiest the camera has been the whole time. I apologize. And it goes down in there. But the little button piece just sits down in there, and then it clicks in and out. So pretty simple. This will pop out if you get a flathead and push it underneath that, and the whole inside will come out, so you can cut the wires, whatever you want to do. Because like I said, overdrive is not that big of a deal. Most people don't even ever touch that button. So cut the wires, tape them off, and then just tuck them down in here. You'll never have to worry about it, and it looks a whole lot cleaner. But I am going to go back and add me a toggle switch here so that I can have overdrive if I want it. I mean, if I don't want overdrive to engage, I'll have me a little small toggle switch, one of those with the covers over it, so you can't just bump it by accident while you're running 95 and tear your transmission out. I just have a little switching, and then overdrive off, and then overdrive back on. But pretty simple. Mainly those two Phillips head bolts. If you can get those out, you're doing good. Everything else will just pop right out. And then this is probably a really shitty tutorial, and I apologize, but I'm trying my damnedest right now. And if I hadn't put all this together, which I probably should have videotaped before my camera died, I would have. So I apologize. But when I go to put my new shifter knob on here, I'll take all this off and I will videotape it again. So stay tuned for that. And I don't think anybody's requested it yet. I don't even know if I've talked about it on my double din radio. If anybody wants to know how to put this big touchscreen in here, like I said, in place of the factory one, and I just put me through some gauges in there for right now. Just leave a comment below, or whatever you want to do to let me know. PM me something. But I think that's about all. As far as this video goes. So, thumbs up this video. I'd really appreciate that. Like it, whatever it's called now. YouTube keeps changing everything. Subscribe for more videos. Stay tuned for everything. Stay awesome, guys. And I think that's it. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram's probably the easiest. I'm on Instagram a lot. That's m.adams at Instagram. So, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching.